Hi people, it's me again, of course, Marino Regenberg. I'm going to discuss a arguably controversial subject. You can tell from the header, it's basically the occult merit of evolution. We all know that evolution has to do with the scientific existence of man, or how man came into existence from a scientific point of view. And it's still something that will always be debated by people, by scholars and whatnot, as in, what has merit, the Bible or the biblical story or legacy of creation, as in how man came into being created, or the scientific story. Essentially, basically, it's like religion versus science in terms of how mankind came into existence. Evolution hints at the fact that evolution is a science story in terms of how man came into existence, how mankind came into existence or into being over the years of evolution. That mankind primarily came from primates. The whole monkey to man scientific story. And whereas religion, primarily Christianity, but mainstream religion in general, talks about a higher being, the utmost highest being. So basically, God creating man, simply after creating the world and then creating man and all of that. So yeah, it's basically the Bible versus the Big Bang theory, if you will. I think that's it's going to be a good title for this video. Like I said, I record my videos completely live, so I haven't even thought of a good title or a header for this video. But I think the Bible versus the Big Bang theory, or Bible versus Big Bang theory, is an excellent title. In any case, as an occultist, and I'm simply going to state, based on my knowledge and experience, and what I've been told, which one is correct. Because you also have people that believe that both happened. You've got basically people that oppose evolution, people that promote evolution. So basically, people that are pro-evolution, people that are anti-evolution, and people that are in between, people that believe that both happen. Now, before I continue, I do need to say that, make no mistake, I'm not 100% sure of this. Okay, the reason I bring this up is because I've been told by Jesus Christ himself that this is the case, but that doesn't obviously have to mean that that's the case guaranteed. My point is, I'm not guaranteeing what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is complete fact. I am as sure of myself as sure can be, but that obviously doesn't mean that it's guaranteed. Okay. Because I'm still subject to the conditions and circumstances that make it so that I don't always get it right as an occultist or as a magician. Some overlooked or hidden factor or an exclusionary factor that I did not take into account in terms of receiving said message could make it so that the message didn't come through properly. Shortly summarize, my point is, just because, for example, in the same way that if a spirit told me something doesn't mean that it's necessarily true, the information that has been relayed to me in relation to evolution, based on my knowledge and experience, I am, let's just say, 90% sure that this is fact, 90 to 95%, but I'm leaving a remaining 5 to 10% open for the reasons I just mentioned. Okay. In any case, referring back to my Cairo days, I was told a couple of days ago, back when I still worked with Jesus Christ as a spirit and whatnot. Wait for the end stream if you don't know what I'm referring to relating to the Cairo. In any case, I've been told regarding this whole thing in relation to evolution and mankind's existence that that both are correct, essentially. The biblical story of creation is correct, obviously, and the scientific story of evolution and subsequent mankind's creation is correct as well. But they basically, the reason that evolution isn't mentioned in the Bible and the age of the dinosaurs and whatnot is because it's irrelevant in terms of mankind's spiritual evolution itself. The whole point of the Bible, essentially, both Old as well as New Testament, is to focus specifically on the spiritual reason for mankind's existence, the purpose of mankind's existence, from a divine perspective, if you will, or just the overall spiritual purpose of mankind's existence, what the meaning is of existence, spiritually speaking. And evolution is simply a biological and or material facet of existence that is essentially skimmed over by the Bible because it's not important. You know what I mean? It's basically like telling a story, but you're skipping over specific details because it's not necessary. You know, an example that I can give is, for example, if you tell a story, then you're leaving out irrelevant details that you deem irrelevant. You're not. If I, for example, tell you what I did over the past week or month, I'm going to leave out the times that I went to the bathroom. I'm going to leave out the times that I ate and that I drank. I'm going to leave out stuff like that. I'm only going to mention things that are relevant and things that I deem relevant. And what I deem relevant is all dependent and or reliant on the moral of the story. So if someone asks me, hey Marino, what did you do in the past month, occult-wise? Why the hell would I mention that I ate something yesterday? I ate this yesterday. I had broccoli yesterday. I had chicken before that. None of that stuff is relevant, and that's my point. Okay, people are not going to discuss the times they went to the bathroom. This is stuff that everybody does, but no one talks about it because it's not relevant. I mean, when you die and someone summarizes your life, you're not going to mention all the freaking 1,000 times you went to the bathroom, the times that you ate, the times that you did this and that. These are all mundane things, and for that reason, this is the same reason. In that same vein, this is the same reason that the Bible doesn't mention evolution specifically, despite the fact that evolution, as I've been told, has taken place. So the whole age of the dinosaurs and all of that stuff, as science points out, that did happen. Okay, I've been told that did happen. But the reason that it's simply not mentioned and not nearly laid emphasis on, because it's irrelevant to mankind's spiritual meaning of existence. Okay, the story as the Bible is told, okay, is purely about both Old and New Testament. Is purely about life lessons, existential lessons. What's the meaning of life? What's the meaning of existence? Why do we exist as people? What should you aspire to? Which is divinity, obviously, and all of that. Everything else in between. And simply human condition, sin and sins such as greed and lust and all of that, as well as virtues such as selflessness and you name it. It just goes on and on and on and on. And obviously, that's why evolution isn't mentioned. Okay, evolution is nowhere near mentioned because it's not relevant to mankind's existence. These are simply biological and or material aspects or facets of existence of a human being in a human being's existence that are not just a human being's existence, but primarily, since we're referring to people, to their existence. In the same vein of the example that I gave, the Bible isn't going to talk about the dinosaurs and evolution and biologically, and how fish came into existence and this and this and this and that, and the composition geographically of the earth, because none of that stuff is relevant. The whole point of the Bible is to basically, and the biblical coming about of mankind in terms of being created, is to simply state that, hey, mankind was created at some point, this is the gist of it, and then you're getting to actual things, as in, hey, this is why man exists primarily, and this is the purpose of existing, and this is what you should aspire to as man. These are man's roots. But the Bible obviously is not going to discuss material issues, okay? Only if materialism does come into play, then it's purely for the sake of learning a life lesson, basically from a moralistic perspective. The only way that material items are mentioned are for the sake of denoting greed. But biology is not discussed as in, trees came into existence, this and this and that, and stuff. No. That's why science is basically just like everything else is created by God. So to give man an understanding of the material. Okay, that's why you learn in school about photosynthesis and the fact that plants absorb sunlight and they grow with light, they create oxygen, all of that stuff. But none of that stuff is relevant to the spiritual purpose of man. And that's the difference. But yeah, evolution, both stories are correct. Both what the Bible says is correct and what science says is correct. But bear in mind the exception to this, well, I don't know if I should say exception, but the thing is that that not all men were directly created from God, so to speak. Let's just say indirectly. Certain ethnicities, for example, Africans, they do stem from primates. And no black person, please be offended over this. I'm not attacking anyone here. That doesn't mean that they're lesser. My point is, regardless of your point of origin, ethnically or otherwise, that doesn't make you any lesser. Doesn't matter whether Africans stem from primates. It doesn't make them any less of people. It doesn't make them less of human beings. And that's also why in the Bible, primarily Jews were created. Okay, they were basically the primordial divine race. Not divine as in, hey, we're better than the rest, but they were primarily created first. Okay, as in a direct way. That's why in the Bible, you primarily got Jews. Emphasis is laid on Jews. Jesus was also Jewish, obviously. His disciples, same thing as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my point is, you get the gist of it. My point is they were created first. That's why I think stereotypically Jews are also referred to as the holy ethnicity or the holy race or something like that, or the biblical race. It's not a common expression, but I think I've heard it once or twice. But my point is, still, some ethnicities were created in a direct way and others were created indirectly. So some are more evolution leaning and the others are more biblically leaning. But make no mistake, again, for the last time, that doesn't mean that they're any lesser. Everybody is equal in that regard or aspect, I've been told. But yeah, that's why, essentially. Let me see if I forgot to say anything else or mention anything else. No, that's it. I can't come up with any other examples. It's not just Africans, okay? The same way that Asians, specifically Asian ethnicities, also have their roots and whatnot, and Caucasians and whatnot, you name it, okay? Some some in terms of creation were more biblically leaning, others were more evolutionary leaning, and with some of them it was in between. Either way, it does not matter. But my point is, both ideologies are correct. So for anyone that was really wondering what the story is and which is correct, is the Bible nothing but falseness, and is science correct or is it the other way around, and is the whole thing about the age of the dinosaurs nothing but mumbo jumbo despite all the so-called fossils and all the crap that they found. Now in any case. Hold on for a second, I want to double check to see if I didn't forget anything. I placed a voice note for myself as a reminder, so I need to listen to my own voice note to see if I overlooked anything. Bear with me, please.
In relation to the above subject of the age of dinosaurs from a biblical point of view, Jesus Christ has told me that it is the age of the dinosaurs did exist, but the reason that it isn't mentioned in the Bible or religious scripture is because it isn't even remotely pivotal to. It isn't even remotely important and or pivotal to mankind's spiritual evolution. It is therefore basically invalid in terms of mentioning it, but it does align with the biblical timeline. And in relation to people developing from monkeys, that is true to some extent, but this only applies to certain ethnicities such as Negroes and whatnot. But that doesn't obviously make them any less of human beings, you name it. In any case, long story short, it all aligns and correlates.
No, that's about it. I didn't forget anything. So there you go. Let me know what you think if you have any opinion on the subject or whatever. Bye.